What's up, everybody? It's Phil back with another Physique Formula podcast, 5-minute research review. Guys, you know the deal. Find me on X at Official Physique Formula, Instagram at Official Physique Formula, physiqueformulasupplements.com, all natural, artificial, sweetener-free products, BCAAs, vitamin D in non-seed oil, olive oil for greater absorption, all good stuff for your health. Today, we're going to talk about microplastics. So if you're not familiar with microplastics, new data is consistently emerging. I'm trying to think back. If you go back maybe 10 to 15 years, the verbiage was different. Microplastics were more known as xenoestrogens, which they are a different class, but still a similar class. And xenoestrogens essentially looked at these man-made chemicals in our food, in our environment. It was more of an overarching theme, but now we go to micro and nanoplastics that are showing their impact on human health. With our over-reliance on plastics in our lifestyle, including utensils, drinking bottles, cookware, we are routinely exposing ourselves to these microplastics that get broken down. And they get broken down a few ways. If you heat your food in a microwave, if you just cook food and put it in a plastic container, if you use utensils over hot pans, plastic utensils, if you drink water out of water bottles, they're all contaminated in some form with these microplastics because they leach. In the example of a water bottle, it has been on trucks and traveled thousands of miles before it got to you in a variety of temperatures. If you are heating or cooking food with plastic utensils, tiny, tiny bits of that plastic from that utensil will leach into your food. We see that even buying food in plastic in of itself can leach microplastics, and we'll get to that in a second. So that presents the problem. And you look at, there's a recent study on tea bags that show that about 11.6 billion microplastics are released in one tea bag in a single cup of tea. Additional studies show that microplastics can actually have been found in bone marrow of humans. So they actually leach. And we see in animal studies that microplastics can lead to increased intestinal permeability and a variety of metabolic disorders. So it's not a reach to say that a lot of our common and frequent health problems that we see have some type of direct or indirect linkage to microplastic consumptions. So how do we remove them from our body? Unfortunately, there's no direct way. There are a few indirect ways that may be beneficial. So the first is sulforaphane intake. Sulforaphane is found in broccoli, but also in other cruciferous vegetables like cauliflower, like kale, that we know it increases phase 2 detoxification, which occurs in our liver. And we know that that is how we excrete a lot of environmental toxins from our body, BPA, phthalates. A lot of these chemicals are excreted through a more powerful phase 2 detoxification. Turmeric can help that, green tea can help that as well, but sulforaphane is really the main star because it activates the NFR2 pathway that enhances our natural detoxification pathway. So obviously broccoli sprouts are about 100 times, contain about 100 times more sulforaphane than regular broccoli. You can additionally take a sulforaphane supplement, but just eating enough broccoli in our diet is beneficial. Physical activity and sweating, saunas, yogas, hot tubs, all of that has been shown to excrete BPA, phthalates. So ostensibly, it could also help us excrete microplastics. We know that regular sweating can be helpful. It's just part and parcel of a healthy lifestyle. And then dietary fiber. Your dietary fiber intake can, and this has been a super interesting one. So if you look at a lot of insoluble fibers and non-fermentable fibers can quickly lead to transit out of our intestinal tract. So they can help prevent the microplastics from binding to begin with. And then fermentable fibers in animal models have shown to encapsulate microplastics and excrete them. Now, that is, and I want to be careful to not put a time frame on it. That is more of an immediate issue when you ingested some plastic or you are trying to avoid plastic and you bought meat that's wrapped in plastic and you get a little bit of that. So you have some fiber in your diet and it excretes it. These are all healthy lifestyle additions as opposed to one-off solutions. So then you have to look at how do you limit microplastics in your diet. I kind of briefly alluded to it in the intro, but don't use plastic cookware. If you're going to cook, when you're going to cook, use stainless steel, use bamboo, use wood. No more Teflon pans. Use stainless steel. Use cast iron skillets. Only drink out of stainless steel or plastic. If you're going to go out and get coffee, bring your own mug that is stainless steel. I understand that some of the top of the stainless steel thermal cups will have plastic on top that you have to drink out of. Remove that when you sip it. Put it back on. Don't store your food in plastic. Get glass or stainless steel. And I understand that it may have like a liner of plastic around the top where the lid attaches, but it doesn't seem to be problematic at this point. You can look at some clothes, like there's a lot of polyester clothes. Listen, all lifestyles are different. You may enjoy working out in compression pants. You may have to work in compression pants if you have an active job. I think you limit what you can limit. That is, you buy more cotton clothing, less polyester-based clothing. In terms of water and water filters, a lot of people are going to reverse osmosis, either countertop or whole home. I don't have either option. That is one area that I fall short. I do use the Brita Elite filter that has data on it for removing microplastics, but again, it also is plastic. I will be getting a countertop reverse osmosis filter with mineralization on like a Black Friday or an Amazon day, because they are pretty pricey. If you're gonna make coffee at home, which I do, use stainless steel filters, use French presses. Those are all the ways that you have to work around and try to remove plastics from your life to reduce the overall exposure of microplastics. I mean, there's just certain things you can't do. Where I shop, I can get fresh grass-fed ground beef and steak and meats wrapped in paper when I come home, like wax paper. But sometimes they don't have it, or if I like to buy game meat, it comes in plastic containers. I'm not going to stop eating elk or bison because of the plastic container. I'm not going to stop buying organic frozen blueberries or frozen broccoli because they have a plastic container. I do think, and this is purely anecdotal, purely my thought process, that because it's frozen, it'll have less leaching. Don't take that to the bank. But so there's certain areas you can cut, and there's certain things that unfortunately right now you don't have access to. But again, don't heat your food. Don't use plastic utensils. Don't drink out of plastic water bottles. Take sulforaphane. Up your green tea intake. And that's all. So guys, thank you for listening today. Subscribe to the podcast and let me know if you guys want to hear anything else.